freaking out, Jason. Stupid water heater crapped out, so I haven't showered since Thursday. I start smelling a little funky, blow my big corporate job interview tomorrow, I'll end up settling for some dead-end career selling spatulas on the internet.
Dude, stay cool.
There's nothing cool about a cold shower, Jason. I mean, I know how that sounds, but
Bueller Air and Plumbing can get a new water heater installed today. The day you call. You could be smelling fresh again by dinner time.
wait, you can do that?
Put on these sunglasses.
Whoa.
Is that cooler?
Oh, yeah.
Well, life moves pretty fast. If you spend much more time smelling like this, you could miss it.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Visit BuellerAir.com.
1010XL is presented by Farrah & Farrah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. He's Hacker.
Talk about a fried egg. I lasted about 5 minutes out there. I said, to heck with this. I'll do this in the morning. And I don't have any inside information. The lady that did it, she got in there. She made it happen.
And he doesn't shy away from opinion.
And I do enjoy drinking cold beer at ballparks. So if that makes me a baseball fan, then I'm a diehard baseball fan.
It's Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
And a very good Thursday evening to you, Jacksonville. It is Hacker After Dark, 1010XL 92.5 FM with Casey Dobson, the Hacker Ryan Green with you. Glad you are with us on what is just a terrific sports Thursday in our area and really all over the sports world. We got the players going on, first round just about in the books out at Sawgrass. We'll go over the leaderboard for you in just a moment. We got March Madness conference tournament style that is underway. Boy, the SEC had two terrific games earlier today. Of course, the Florida Gators are on the court 24 hours from now, taking on the winner of the game going on right now between Mississippi State and Missouri. And, of course, your general manager, James Gladstone of the Jacksonville Jaguars, met the media earlier today, along with the 9 free agents that are now officially members of this organization. So we got a lot to do. We're with you till 10 o'clock. We are certainly glad you are spending part of your Thursday evening with us. Guest lineup tonight looks like this. Coming up in about 15 or so minutes, Cameron Wolfe of the NFL Network. Now, Cameron does an absolutely terrific job covering the game nationally, but he does a lot with the 3 Florida teams, particularly the Jaguars. In fact, it was Cameron who had the story about Jarian Jones playing on the outside. They got so much traction a couple nights ago. He had that on NFL Total Access. He does a good job covering the Jaguars and the rest of the NFL. And we will have Cameron Wolfe on from the NFL Network in about 15 minutes with us here on Hacker After Dark. And towards the top of the 9 o'clock hour, my buddy Easton Freeze, A2ZSports.com. Now, Easton's based in Nashville. He covers the league as a whole, but he primarily covers the AFC South. And in thinking about this earlier today, boy, what an offseason it has been in the American Football Conference Southern Division, right? You've had all the change here in Jacksonville. Houston has decided to trade away every member of their offensive line from last year, including Laramie Tunsil. Indianapolis has done some nice things in the secondary, but they also just gave $14 million to Daniel Jones to start a full-blown quarterback controversy against Anthony Richardson. And Tennessee had a ton of money to spend. They chose not to spend it, but in doing so, it's pretty apparent now that they're going to draft Cam Ward number 1 in next month's NFL draft. So there's a lot to get into when it comes to the division. And Easton Freeze of A2ZSports.com will join me tonight to talk about all of it. We may actually go to Minnesota as well. On Monday, I had the opportunity to catch up with guys from every media market where all of the Jaguar free agents came from. And, in fact, we're going to go to Baltimore because in Baltimore where Patrick McCarry came from, the offensive lineman who was one of the first to meet the media today. So we might try to get Luke Jones, WNST Radio in Baltimore, to give us a little more info on Patrick McCarry, a guy that has played all 5 positions along the offensive line in his career, and it's expected he's going to be the brand new center at right guard, replacing Brandon Sheriff. So as you can tell, we're loaded We're with you till 10 o'clock. As always, Jacksonville, we certainly appreciate you spending your evening with us. Every night here on Hacker After Dark, we do kick it off with a big deal of the night and Casey Dobson. Let's do that right now.
Time now for the big deal of the night.
What's the big deal?
What is the big deal?
No, because it is a big deal.
On Hacker After Dark.
You know, I mentioned this with Baloo earlier, and I appreciate the coach speak or the general manager speak. But one of the more popular phrases this week, and really since James Gladstone assumed the general manager role here in Jacksonville, is raising the floor of the roster, right? How many times have we heard that in the last 19, 20 days that James Gladstone's been on the job? The Jaguars want to raise the floor of the roster. Well, can I translate that for you in hacker terminology? You ready? This is not James Gladstone saying this. He's saying the politically correct thing. Let me tell you my interpretation of what raising the floor of the roster means. It means the bottom half of last year's roster sucked, and the Jaguars are going to do something about it. And that's why they went out and they signed 9, which is tied for the most outside free agents of any team in the National Football League. And that's also why, if you look at every in-house free agent the Jaguars have had so far, Mac Jones, Blake Hance, Andre Sisco, Luke Farrell, go on down the line, not one of them has been re-signed here by the Jaguars. Not one. There is a massive turnover here in Jacksonville because William Cohen and James Gladstone figured out in a very short amount of time that the Jaguar roster wasn't very good. Now, look, I think it's good at the top, right? I think there are some really good players from Trevor Lawrence to Brian Thomas Jr. to Hines Allen, Trayvon Walker, Tyson Campbell, Foye Oluokun. Go on down the line. There's some good players here. But 1 to 53 hasn't been good. That's why they've lost 18 of their last 23 games. So that's why, again, I know we talked about this earlier in the week. That's why all that talk of this is a retooling, not a rebuilding. I don't know why people were saying that. They were 4-13 last year. They weren't any good. They lost 5 of their last 6 in 2023. Had one of the biggest collapses in franchise history. They've lost 18 of their last 23 games. It's not a retooling. It is far, far closer to a rebuild here in Jacksonville. And the actions and the statements that we need to raise the floor of the roster, well, what do you think Gladstone is saying? Roster wasn't very good. We had to do something about it. And they started doing something about it by bringing in 9 outside free agents. James Gladstone met the media earlier today down at the Miller Electric Center. All of these audio clips are courtesy of our friends at Jaguars.com. James Gladstone, of the 9 guys you brought in, he talks about those being the 9 that they wanted when this process began on Monday morning.
Yeah, it's been an absolute blast. I think the collaboration over the course of the last 3 weeks has been something we've held at a premium. And, you know, looking at our pro scouting staff and our football administration staff, blending with our a level of pride and being able to engage with all of those groups in such a short window of time, and actually walking into the pro free agency window, you know, with some unknowns, right? There were some holes on our roster, and unlike the draft, right, an NFL pro free agent has the chance to say, you know what, I appreciate the offer, but I'm going somewhere else, right? In the draft, you send a name into a system, and they're now a part of your team. So that was a dynamic that walking into that door on Monday, you feel like, you know what, we're going to have to adjust today. Well, lo and behold, we had 9 names that we were prioritizing, and we ended up with 9 players that ended up on our roster as of today. So seeing that plan come to life, being executed in the way that it was, certainly something that at this point in time I'm proud of, but I can't wait for these players to engage with the rest of the team, get out on the grass in the fall, because it's not the offseason that we're looking to win from a perception standpoint. We're looking to win football games this fall, and can't wait for the next phase of this in the draft to truly see what the shape of the roster is going to look like, and then get everybody out on the grass together here later in the spring.
And look, I'm very much aware that they did not make a splash, right? They didn't bring in the big name that's going to sell a lot of season tickets. But they've done a lot of that in the last couple of years. You can rattle them off, from Christian Kirk to Evan Ingram to Brandon Sheriff, Foye Oluokun, Eric Armstead, Ronald Darby, Darnell Savage, Mitch Morse, Gabe Davis. I mean, should I go on? Rattled off 10, 11 guys just then, some of which have been good players, some have not been. Foley Fatukasi was on that list. And what did that get you in the last 3 years? What did those big name free agent acquisitions get you? They got you one playoff win. And they got you 5-18 in the last 23 games. Is this the most appealing list of free agents? Nope. I'll agree with that. But I like them. I liked them before today. I like them even more now when they met the media. I really like Patrick McCarry. I really like Robert Hainsey, your two new interior offensive linemen. I think De'Ami Brown could be a really nice player here. I think there's some potential, man. There is some potential. And I just like this James Gladstone cat. I really do. Again, I would be lying to you if 2 months ago you walked in here. If it was January 15th, and you walked in here and say, Hacker, I think the Jaguars are going to hire James Gladstone as the general manager, I would have said, who? I have no idea who that is. Shame on me. No idea. I try to be as educated as I can in the world of sports. I would not have had any idea. I told you, I knew who Joey Gladstone was from Full House, not James Gladstone. But I've learned pretty quick. One thing about me, I can adapt pretty quick, and I've learned pretty quick that I like this guy. I like this guy a lot. I like his demeanor. I like his bravado. There's a little, I wouldn't necessarily call it arrogance, but it's close to that about him. And I like what he's doing with this roster. I like Liam Cohen. I really like Tony Boselli being there. Is the roster as good now as maybe it was a year ago? They don't have the names. I'll give you that. They had better names on the roster in March of 2024 than they probably do right now. But Doug Peterson and Trent Baalke, Press Taylor and Ryan Nielsen versus Tony Boselli, Liam Cohen, James Gladstone, Grant Udinski, and Anthony Campanile. Yeah, give me the ladder on that one. Give me the ladder. And that in and of itself has me very, very intrigued about moving forward. By the way, the draft, 6 weeks from tonight, the National Football League draft in Green Bay, Wisconsin. Let's talk to a man that's been on top of it when it comes to the Jaguars from a national perspective. I really enjoy his work on the NFL Network. Cameron Wolf is always on top of it when it comes to Duval, and he'll join me next on a Thursday night here in Jacksonville, Florida. We're glad you're with us. Hacker After Dark, right here on 1010XL and on 92.5 FM.
1010XL presents Family Feud, starring Dan Hicken.
You don't want none of me. Think it through.
And Jeff Prosser.
Come on, give me your best shot. I'll give you a free one. Let me have it.
The Drill, mornings on 1010XL.
Do the Garber wiggle, 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 Garber wiggle.
Tired of spending all day looking for a new truck? Then stop. At Garber Auto Mall, you can see every new American-made truck side by side. Chevy, GMC, Buick, Ford, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram. Visit us at GarberAutomall.com or in Green Cove Springs. And remember, at Garber Auto Mall, there's always a little room for wiggle.
Do the Garber wiggle, 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 Garber wiggle.
The 2025 NFL season is right around the corner, and the Jags are building something special. A fresh team, a new culture, and a stadium that's going to change the game. Be there to witness head coach Liam Cohen and the rest of the coaching crew in action by securing your season tickets today. Become a member to get access to exclusive experiences, VIP events, and more. Visit Jaguars.com/tickets or call 904-633-2000. We can't wait to see you at the bank this fall.
Okay, sports fans, Hicken here. Let's talk skin. I and Beaches Dermatology are reminding you all to wear your sunscreen. Spring is here, and that means more time outside. Grabbing the clubs for your tea time? Bring the screen. Heading out on the boat? Bring the screen. Headed to the beach? definitely bring the sunscreen. All in all, make sure sunscreen is included in your outdoor activities. If you have any concerns now, give Beaches Dermatology a call. I've been seeing them for years, and my skin thanks me for it. Call today online at beachesdermatology.com.
Welcome to AT&T. How can I help?
Hey, I thought I could trust my twins with my phone, but they outnumber me, man.
Whoa, that's a lot of glitter paint. Let's trade
Lives?
At AT&T, everyone can trade in an old or glittered iPhone any year, any condition, and save on a new iPhone. Ask how to get iPhone 16 Pro on us. New and existing customers. Savings vary by device and trade-in combinations. Restrictions apply. See att.com for details. AT&T. Connecting changes everything.
This is your Mad Dad's Update with Chapter President Donald Ford. In our effort to curb crime, drugs, and violence during the summer months, we are offering Friday Night Lights. It has already started and will be going until school starts back. It is every Friday night from 6:30 to 9:30 at the Blacktop, 5732 Normandy Boulevard, and behind the Potter's House Christian Academy. We manage 3 basketball courts. You are not running on the cement. We have covering on each court. The Lakers, the Magic, and the Heat. Ages 15 to 40 years old. This will give them something to do other than selling drugs and getting into trouble. We have monitors there giving leadership. We have to wake up, stand up, and speak up. Hit me on Facebook and tell me what you think. Or MattDadJacksonville.com.
This Date in Sports History is brought to you by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
On March 13, 2022, after a 40-day retirement, record-breaking quarterback Tom Brady announces he will play at least one more NFL season with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Pick it here for Bow 9 Associates, where you'll find Jacksonville's most esteemed eye doctors at each of their locations. After being selected for one of the most competitive ophthalmology fellowships in the world, Dr. Frank Bowden is frequently called upon for his expert opinion. He is currently one of the few cornea and external disease specialists in the area and the founder of Bow 9. Visit Bow 9 Associates today and experience the difference. Bow 9 Associates, keeping the First Coast focused.
Youth sports at the YMCA's focus on teamwork, discipline, and building confidence. Our experienced coaches can create a positive and supportive environment where your kids can grow, stay active, and develop a love for sports. Sports like basketball, volleyball, swimming, gymnastics, and even elite skills training. Join the fun and register. Give your kids a chance to be a part of something special. Visit fcymca.org to learn all about youth sports at the Y.
Have you got concrete or asphalt rubble piling up? Arcosa Crushed Concrete will pay you for it and recycle it. They're just minutes from Everbank Stadium on Talleyrand. Call Arcosa Crushed Concrete and get paid for what you don't need. ArcosaCrushedConcrete.com.
Transform your bathroom with stunning shower glass from Sky Glass Solutions in Jacksonville Beach. For a free quote, call 904-608-5151 or visit skyglasssolutions.com.
Getting a pool? David Garrard here. I just did. But before they dug, I called Clearwater Irrigation, and they capped off all my sprinkler lines so the pool company could just dig away.
Then when your pool's finished, we'll install your sprinkler system back to full coverage.
And now my backyard oasis is getting watered beautifully.
And maybe then, Dave, I could take another quick dip.
Bigger swimming trunks, John. Much bigger.
Clearwater Irrigation.
And drainage, too.
When you need a mechanic you can trust, call Sam, Harry, or Joe at AA Automotive on Richard Street. From oil changes to complex engine repairs, AA Automotive promises expert service and honest pricing from a local family biz. AA Automotive on Richard Street.
When it comes to towing products, your safety is the priority at Cannons of Jacksonville. Cannons has decades of experience to ensure your towing setup is installed with precision and reliability. Visit cannonsofjacks.com, your trusted partner for a smoother tow.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Hacker. After dark on 1010XL.
Do you want to build a snowman? Come on, let's go and play.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville, your home for the Jacksonville Jaguars, and we are glad you are with us. Boy, what an off season to this point here in Jacksonville, from the head coach search to the GM search to now being the most active team in NFL free agency. It has been wild to this point. A guy that has done a terrific job covering the Jaguars on a national basis is Cameron Wolfe of the NFL Network, and Cameron's always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. Cameron, how we doing?
Good. How are you doing?
Hey, Cameron, we're good, man. Thank you for the time. And I mean that. You know, look, nationally, the Jaguars can get kind of a bad rap. I know you cover the 3 Florida teams primarily for the NFL Network among the other teams nationally, but I really do enjoy your coverage of the Jaguars, man. I think a lot of Jaguar fans do as well.
No, I appreciate that, man. I have a special connection to the Jags. That was a big part of our coverage in 2022 when the Jags made that late season playoff run and won a playoff game. And so I enjoy telling the stories of Duval. I know it hasn't been a great last couple of years, but maybe things will turn around with this new regime. It's been a crazy offseason to this point. Let's kind of start from the beginning, and that's the hire of Liam Cohen. Maybe it wasn't the cleanest process, Cameron, no question about that, but what do you make of the new Jaguar head coach? Yeah, I know that he did wonders with Baker Mayfield in Tampa, and talking to people there, they really loved him. They think he's a really good play caller, and he's going to bring in an infusion of youth, of different perspective, of adjustments, things that I think the Jags offense has been missing the last year or two. And I also know that Trevor Lawrence was a big fan of the hire. And I think when you have your quarterback on board, that's a big step going forward. They have to get things right on offense. They have to get that Trevor Lawrence looking back like the franchise quarterback they paid. And I think they're making their way in a different way. And so there's going to be a lot made of the age of Liam Cohen and James Gladstone. It's either going to work or it doesn't, but I like that the franchise is trying to try something different.
Cameron Wolfe of the NFL Network, 39-year-old Liam Cohen. We thought that was young until he goes and gets a 29-year-old offensive coordinator in Grant Udensky, and then 34-year-old James Gladstone as the general manager. Total youth movement here in Jacksonville. What do you make of the Jaguars' new GM?
Yeah, I got to meet him at the Combine for the first time. I had not met him. He was actually someone that was under the radar tremendously. You know, a lot of times you hear guys coming up and you meet them, and I had not heard much about James Gladstone. And so I've learned a lot in the last few weeks. I've heard really good reviews from people in L.A., Sean McVay, Les Snead. They rave about really his ability to change how they went about scouting in LA. And you know how this industry is. It's a lot of older folks who are kind of stuck in their ways. If you got a 30-something-year-old who came in and made people change their ways, and they thought there was good things about it, I think that's a great sign for what he could do for the Jags org. And so he seemed really down to earth. He seemed very smart, and he seems like he has a clear plan. And I think, to me, that's my big thing. You know, we can make all these early grades as national reporters of, hey, this guy's a great hire or this guy's a bad hire. I just want a guy who knows what he wants and is going to attack it, and we'll see if it works. But does seem like James Gladstone has a clear vision. They definitely value draft picks. They value players who can play and not just traits. So I think some of those things will be a welcome change for Jaguars fans.
You know, and there certainly is some excitement here, Cameron, from a couple of things. Number one, it's the first total reset since 2013, meaning a new head coach and a new general manager coming in on the same timeline. And it's really the first offensive mind under the age of 50 to be hired here as a head coach since all the way back to Coughlin, which is crazy to think about. But Del Rio and Bradley were defensive guys. Everybody else from Malarkey to Marone to Urban and that disaster, obviously, to Doug Peterson were all 50-plus. So this is the first time that Shad has kind of gone this route and hired an offensive mind that's a relatively young offensive mind.
Yeah, it definitely is different, and I like the reset. I think you look at a situation where a lot of times coaches and GMs are tied together, and when you do the half measures, there's always going to be a guy who is trying to protect his job or trying to have a little bit one up over the other. And, I think we saw a little bit of that at the end with Doug Peterson and with Trent Baalke. I think this one is two guys who know each other really well. They both were in LA together. They have chemistry, have a good way of thought. There seems to be not a lot of ego at this stage as far as power and who has this and that. And I think that's the way you got to have a franchise to work. Now wins are going to decide whether or not they're here for the next 3 years or the next 30 years. But I do think that they seem like they're on the same page. So I like the clean reset. I like the clear vision. I like that they have a joint mindset of how to attack this thing.
A couple of more for Cameron Wolf of the NFL Network, and certainly Jaguar fans love the Tony Boselli aspect of this as well. I mean, look, Boselli, and I've said this for a while, he did not need this job. Certainly Tony had a lot going on personally and professionally. The fact that he wanted this job, he wanted to be a part of the organization's turnaround. He's Mr. Jaguar, if you will. I think his input has been vital in a lot of instances already.
Yeah, I think maybe the biggest thing is that you have trust from Jaguars fans, right? Like that's probably the most trusted guy in the fan base, a guy who has been a legendary player for the team and also a guy who has garnered respect in post-career. And he knows what he's talking about. And I think my big thing, you got a former offensive lineman, they're going to value the trenches. And I think that's how you've seen these teams built. Philadelphia just won a Super Bowl with that method, really valuing the offensive line and defensive line and supplementing the other positions. And I do think the Jags are going to start taking a mindset there as well. So, yeah, I think Boselli gives them a little bit of a buffer, too. You can relate to the fan base. You can do a lot of the media stuff. You can control, how you want to be perceived. They have certainly been more transparent and more open from a social perspective, from a PR and a media perspective. I think that's a great tribute to how they want to do things going forward. And so I do like the hire there, and I think it's a good time for Jags fans.
Cameron, let's move on to the player personnel department. First and foremost, again, you follow this team as closely as anybody nationally. Were you surprised that they moved on from Christian Kirk and Evan Ingram?
I was a little surprised at both. I did hear a lot that they were talking to both about maybe taking some sort of pay cut. And I did figure, hey, at least one may be gone. But I did not expect both to be gone, and definitely didn't expect Kirk to get traded to the Texans. You got to look at a situation here where when contracts are made, a lot of times they're made with 1 or 2 years in vision. And Christian Kirk had played essentially most of his guaranteed money out, or all of his guaranteed money out. And so it's just sort of the back end numbers. And Christian has dealt with injuries the last couple of years. And so if he's healthy, maybe he's still here. But sometimes you got to think, okay, what is our next 3-year plan? Is Christian Kirk still going to be a big part of us if we're a contender by year 3? Probably not, at his age. Same with Evan Ingram. Evan Ingram's almost 30 now. You got to start thinking long term. And I think their thought was we're going to be less Kirk and Evan Ingram as our focus point and more Brian Thomas Jr. Now, they certainly still could add more. I've heard their name bubbling up on the Cooper Kupp conversation, especially given the relationships of Liam Cohen and James Gladstone. So maybe he ends up coming in and replacing the Kirk and Ingram production. But I just think that this is a whole reset for this franchise. They want to look at playing offense differently than they have in the past.
And the absolutely wild thing, and I want to talk to you about Cooper Kupp in a moment and some of the guys they brought in. Your Jarian Jones report opened some eyes here a couple nights ago as well.
Yep.
But the Jaguars haven't re-signed anybody. I mean, Cisco is gone. Mac Jones is gone. Blake Hance. I mean, go on down the line. Obviously, when Shad Khan said last year that this is the best Jaguar team ever, which Trent Baalke fed him that certainly, Gladstone and Cohen don't agree with that because it has been a total reset player-wise as well.
Yeah, by the way, I didn't agree with that either. I think that was definitely something that was a little bit of perspective that you put out. I think that last year's team certainly had some weaknesses in talent, and that got exposed throughout the year. Yeah, I think a lot of times you get too attached to your guys, and you kind of blind yourself from maybe what can be better. And I think this is a team that really had a really good high in 2022, and they were hoping just to ride that essentially with the same crew and smaller supplements. But sometimes you have to to, start over. You have to reset. It can't just be run it back. And I think that's maybe what got them in trouble. And so I don't mind, especially a new culture. You got to bring in people who carry your flag, and you don't want guys looking back, oh, we did this way. I liked it better when Doug did this, and you kind of eliminate that by restarting. And so they certainly have a lot of core guys still there with Josh Allen, Hines, and Trayvon Walker, and Trevor Lawrence on the offensive side of the ball, and now Brian Thomas being a part of that core. But I do think this is a overall reset as far as the veterans they want in the building.
Final moments, Cameron Wolf of the NFL Network. All right, you reported on the NFL Network earlier this week, Cameron, the Jordan Lewis signing opened some eyes down here because of the nickelback position. And it appears that from what you've been told, Jarian Jones might get a look on the outside.
Yeah. I think the Jordan Lewis signing was really about getting a really good football player. They think he's one of the best slot corners in football. He's shown that in Dallas. He's coming off a great year. And Jarian Jones, this is not a shot at him. They think that he is really talented. He had a really good rookie year. But remember at Florida State, he played mostly outside corner. Now, I know his last year there, he was really good out of the slot, but this regime does think that he has some versatility, that he can play some outside, that he can maybe move around within the defense and be a little bit of an X player there. So I think that's something that they'll figure out, their new defensive coordinator, Anthony Capinelli, when they get to camp in spring. But that's why they felt comfortable making the move. This wasn't an either or. They think they can both be on the field at the same time and help that secondary that really needed some help. So Jarian's on board with the move. This is something that he was not unhappy about. He understood, and they expressed kind of a vision there. And now they move forward with the secondary, and we're going to see if it works. But I think you'll see Jarian playing multiple spots around the field next year.
And maybe I'm drinking the Kool-Aid on De'Ami Brown, but I look back at the playoff run he had with Washington. To me, Cameron, that's an under-the-radar signing, man. I think he could be pretty good in this Liam Cohen offense.
Yeah. It's one that I got hit or miss reviews on because it's a lot of money to pay for a guy who's only had a few hundred yards in a season. But you got to think about vision. And like you said, he was really hot late in the year. And I think one thing that people didn't really realize is how much he opened up things for Terry McLaurin. And I think that's a real big part of this. You would love for De'Ami Brown to have a career year and have 1,000 receiving yards and 10 touchdowns, but I don't even think that's the goal of this signing. I think the goal of the signing is for him to be a guy that every single game they have to play deep because they know De'Ami Brown can beat him for one or two deep balls past him. And because of that, maybe that opens up more for Brian Thomas over the middle of the field. Maybe they can play him a little bit more in the slot and get him open because teams have to play them honest. And I think that's a lot of the vision of this move, and it could pay off tremendously, especially we saw last year especially with Gabe Davis hurt, they were really missing that guy to stretch the field to extend the ball and it forced Trevor Lawrence to maybe hold on the ball longer than he needed to. So I think that's the vision, and I think it could be a good sign for Jacksonville.
Cameron, as we wrap up, do you think the Jaguars have done enough on the offensive line to help Trevor Lawrence?
Not yet. I think that they're improving. I think they added a couple guys in Hainsey and McCary that can help come in and probably start for them. But it's still a concern for me. I definitely think that's something that is hard to fix an entire offensive line in one offseason. And so I expect them to look at it in the draft. They obviously have the number 5 pick. If I was handicapping today, I'd say that's probably going to be a trenches pick, whether that's your favorite defensive tackle or whether that's your favorite offensive lineman. They want to get better in the trenches. And so as of today, I'm not, sold that everything's fixed, but I think they have a lot of time until September, and I think maybe even until next year when they try to fully get this thing right.
And then leave us with this. You mentioned Cooper Kupp earlier. What are you hearing? Obviously, there's a lot of rumors revolving around him in Jacksonville.
Yeah. He's a free agent now. He can sign anywhere. He's talking with different folks. There's definitely interest between Jacksonville and Kupp. Now, the question will be, how much does Cooper Kupp want to chase in his mind what's a contender? Jacksonville obviously wants to be a contender, but they starting off with a new regime, coming off a season where they weren't very good. And so, they may have to overcome that if there are other contenders that are willing to pay money. So I think this thing is going to move very quickly. I wouldn't be surprised if we hear news on a Cooper Kupp deal today or tomorrow.
Cameron Wolf of the NFL Network. Cameron, I know you're busy, man. Thank you for taking time out for us here in Jacksonville, brother. We certainly appreciate it.
Yeah, appreciate you guys.
There you go, Cameron Wolf of the NFL Network with us here, and I mean that. He does such a good job covering the league and primarily the 3 Florida teams there for the NFL Network. We ended that conversation talking about Cooper Kupp. I told you guys last night, I'm going to trust James Gladstone on this. Of anybody in Jacksonville, Florida, you, me, pretty much anybody with the Jaguar organization, Baselli, Cohen, the coaching staff, you name it, the guy that knows the most about Cooper Kupp is James Gladstone. And if James Gladstone, who was just out with the Rams organization for 9 years, if he believes Cooper Kupp can still play, then the Jaguars might have interest. If he believes Cooper Kupp is done, like apparently the Rams do, people are saying, oh, it's a salary thing. Well, not really. They just paid Devontae Adams a ton of money. They're choosing Devontae Adams over Cooper Kupp. I don't think Cooper Kupp's going to come here. I would be surprised if he did. Is it because he wants to stay out on the West Coast? Does he want to play for a contender? Is he asking for an astronomical amount of money? Could be yes to all the above, but I would, at this point, I mean, what shocks you anymore in the NFL? I won't say I'd be shocked, because it would be hard to be shocked, but I would be pretty surprised if Cooper Kupp ended up being a Jacksonville Jaguar. But we'll see. This offseason's been wild to this point. What makes you think it won't get wilder before we get to the draft coming up 6 weeks from tonight? Of the 9 free agents that the Jaguars brought in here, I think you can make the argument that the 2 biggest additions were along the offensive line, Robert Hainsey and Patrick McCarry. Patrick McCarry up in Baltimore was an undrafted free agent, spent years there working at every position, left tackle, left guard, center, right guard, and right tackle. McCarry has played over 270 snaps at every position along the offensive line in his NFL career. He's got to be the only guy in the NFL that can say that. I cannot imagine there's another player with 270 or more snaps at all 5 offensive line positions. That is crazy when you think about it. He was introduced to the media today here in Jacksonville. Let's talk to a man that covered him for the last 5 years. My friend Luke Jones is my guy when it comes to the Ravens, WNST Radio. Let's get more info on your newest offensive lineman, Patrick McCarry, with Luke Jones up in Baltimore. He's next as we roll on till 10 o'clock on a Thursday right here on Hacker After Dark.
Tensions build.
3rd and 12. Let's go.
Plot thickens.
We got to get off the field.
Crowds roar. Tune in and let the show begin. Your home for live play-by-play is 1010XL.
Blue here for the Blue Crab House, located right off of San Jose. It's on Jewington Creek Road. They've been around since 1996. Indoor-outdoor dining. Also, takeout is available at the Blue Crab House. Open 4:30 to 9, Tuesday through Saturday. Sunday, noon until 9. Remember, Tuesday, $2 margaritas. Wednesday, $1 oyster night. How about the blue crabs? How about my personal favorite, the Canadian snow crabs? Whatever it is that you fancy, you get it right there. The Blue Crab House.
Jags fans, here's your chance to score a trip to Green Bay for round 1 of draft night. Through the Everbank Draft Night Experience Sweepstakes, one lucky winner and a guest will be there live and in person to see the Jaguars make their first pick. To enter, visit everbank.com/draft by April 4th. That's everbank.com/draft. No purchase necessary to enter or win. Open to legal residents of the United States and D.C. 18 and older. Entry period from 3/3/25 to 4/4/25. For official rules, prize description, odds of winning, and other details, visit everbank.com/draft. Sponsored and administrator, Everbank N.A.
I'm here with Danny Van Sickle, director of the Electrical Training Alliance. Danny, tell me about your program.
Hey, Rick, we're a 4-year electrical apprenticeship. Our students start out making over $40,000 a year and right now make over $90,000 a year, including benefits. There is no tuition or student debt. You just have to apply and get accepted.
Did you say no tuition and no student debt?
You heard that right, Rick. Once you're accepted to the program, your only cost for the books and the course fees, about $800 a year.
That sounds like an amazing opportunity. How can I learn more?
Just go to etajax.org and you can apply there.
Apply by May 15th.
Hey everybody, it's Mike Dempsey, and I only like to recommend the best, which is why I'm proud to say that I chose Pella Windows and Doors for my own home. And now's a great time to upgrade your home with 0% financing for 60 months. That's 5 years of interest-free payments on the best windows and doors in the business. Don't wait. Schedule a free consultation at PellaJacks.com or visit their showroom on Phillips Highway just north of Bay Meadows. For quality you can trust and savings you can't miss, that's Pella Windows and Doors.
Dan Hicken and Jeff Prosser start the week by giving the ball to the best back in Duval.
And off, Fred Taylor.
Monday morning running back with Fred Taylor is fueled by Epstein and Robbins DUI Defense Firm and Monahan Jewelers on 1010XL.
Don't miss the Players' Championship, March 11th through 16th at TPC Sawgrass. This can't-miss event features a variety of activities for every fan to enjoy, from delicious bites to the Sawgrass Splash. There are endless fan enhancements that will make for a memorable experience. Plus, watch the top PGA Tour players, including back-to-back champion Scottie Scheffler, take on the iconic Stadium course featuring the famous Island Green. Tickets available at theplayers.com.
Call 904-500-COOL. Ideal Conditions.
Ideal Conditions Heating and Air Conditioning is your go-to for all AC repairs and replacements. Just gas your AC. For exceptional service, call 904-500-COOL or visit idealconditionsjacks.com to schedule your estimate today.
Call 904-500-COOL.
Honk if you see us. Call for service.
Ideal Conditions.
Idealconditionsjacks.com.
Need or want cash? Beach's Jewelry and Pawn has cash available. Ready to buy guitars, surfboards, jewelry, firearms, tools, and especially gold. They need it all, selling or pawning. Get cash on the spot at Beach's Jewelry and Pawn in Jacksonville Beach.
Your hole-in-one for men's health is Ackerman Urology. With offices in Mandarin, Middleburg, World Golf Village, and the beaches, Ackerman will get you on par for any prostate conditions and sexual vitality. Visit AckermanUrology.com.
For lost or broken keys or nearly any make and model of vehicle, call 722-1111 for
Instant Keys. Instant Keys. You don't have to go to the dealer. Instant Keys comes to you.
Tired of seeing the signs of aging in the mirror? Fine lines, sun damage, redness? They don't have to be part of your future. I'm Dr. Mark Capel, a board-certified dermatologist, and I can help you look and feel your best without invasive surgery or painful treatments. Imagine rejuvenating your skin in a relaxing, comfortable environment with minimal to no downtime. Smooth out fine lines, even skin tone, and restore that youthful glow. Find out how to look and feel your best at Dermagnify.com. Dermagnify.com.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. This is Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville, we are glad you are with us. For the second year in a row, the Jaguars have gone to Baltimore and are bringing in now a former Baltimore Raven. Hopefully this year we'll have a little more success. Patrick McCary coming in, the offensive lineman. Of course, it was Devin Duvernay and Ronald Darby last year. That did not work out very well. Hopefully McCary will be a much better addition here for the Jaguars. Our guy up in Baltimore is Luke Jones, WNST Radio. When it comes to the Ravens, Luke is the guy we get on, and Luke's always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. Luke, how we doing, man?
Doing well, Ryan. Good to talk to you.
Hey, we always appreciate it. It's becoming a yearly tradition, you and I getting together in March, because the Jaguars go to Baltimore a lot to get Raven free agents. Did not work out with Duvernay and Darby last year, but hopefully this year's a little different. Tell us about Patrick McCary, the offensive lineman that's agreed to terms with the Jaguars earlier today.
Yeah, I mean, I think putting aside the cost, which I think we've seen the early days of free agency, keep in mind, nothing's official until Wednesday, but it's lucrative. It's certainly a market that, you know, the guys that are hitting the market, I think you're seeing paid handsomely. So this is a big commitment for Patrick McCary, but I think the thing that you like and the thing that jumps out about him right away is just how versatile he is. You go and look at his career for the Baltimore Ravens. I mean, this is a guy who was an undrafted free agent out of Cal back in 2019. And if you look at his career track record, he's logged at least 200 snaps at all 5 offensive line positions. Now, this past year, he was the primary left guard. He started out the year at right tackle for the first 3 games. Then they did a little bit of shuffling. They had an injury at left guard. They moved him inside. And He put up well there. Was he an all-pro? Is he a Pro Bowl kind of talent? No, but he's been the kind of guy that's been very dependable. As I just mentioned, you'll love his versatility, and he's just someone that they trust. This is a guy who has played right tackle and moved to left tackle in the midst of the game. This is a guy who's, as I said, he's been a center, he's been a guard. So that is extremely valuable. Now, you look at the average annual value that's been reported. I mean, the Jaguars are paying a premium for him, and I don't know exactly what their plan is in terms of where they want to use him. But again, the versatility, it's so valuable, especially on game day, where, if you get a couple injuries, he's the kind of guy that you can move in a pinch, and he's going to know his assignment. So I think much more so than the couple guys that you mentioned last year that didn't work out. Former Ravens going to Jacksonville. I think Patrick McCary, again, putting aside the compensation level and just looking at the player himself, he's someone that the Ravens have trusted. And there's some irony to the fact that he's someone that replaced Ronnie Stanley on quite a few occasions over the last 3-4 years, with Stanley having some of his injury concerns. Irony is that the Ravens re-signed Ronnie Stanley, extended him, and kept him in town. But as a result, was considered likely they were going to lose Patrick McCary, and that's what ended up happening.
Luke Jones, WNST Radio in Baltimore, talking about newest Jaguar offensive lineman Patrick McCary. And Luke, you alluded to it. I mean, if you look at the snap count over the career of McCary, he's played like over 100 snaps at every position along the offensive line, from left tackle all the way down to right tackle, every point in the middle. Now, here in Jacksonville, again, we don't know what they're planning on doing, but we know they have openings at right guard and center. Do you think McCary's more of a guard than a center if he was going to be, penciled in to start somewhere?
It's hard to say. I mean, he really hasn't played much center since his first couple years when, and this was kind of the beginning of the Lamar Jackson era. The Ravens had a center named Matt Skura who had a pretty catastrophic knee injury, and McCary filled in and did a very admirable job for them at that point in time. Generally speaking, and this is going to sound kind of funny because we're coming off of a year where he logged a career high in snaps and started every game and played extensively at left guard. But in the past, there was a perception that McCary was maybe a little bit better suited for the outside. And some of that was even just, he's not the biggest guy in the world. So, there was maybe some thoughts that there was a little concern about him holding up on the inside. But, hey, he just started 14 games at left guard. So, maybe that perception is out the window. But, I think – I'd hate to really say that he couldn't play center because that's basically all he did his first couple years. He's played more guard recently, but going back to what I mentioned as far as just the trust factor with him, you can depend on him to play any spot. Again, is it going to be at an all-pro level? Is it going to be at this amazing elite level? No, not necessarily, but he's the kind of guy that the Ravens have just been able to plug and play with an array of injuries over the years. I've once covered a coach that in the past would kind of talk about, he's the kind of player that you can put your head on the pillow at night and you're not going to be worried about him at all. Patrick McCary fits that description, and again, he's versatile. So I would say, not really a strong preference one or the other than what I had said that, again, going back a couple years ago, the perception was maybe he was better as a swing tackle rather than an interior player. But he's played there a lot, and he's played there well in the past, so there's no reason to think he can't do that moving forward.
Luke, final question. Just, again, the early reaction on social media now that it's actually working. That was interesting earlier today.
Yeah.
Now that it's working, Raven fans seem to like him, seem to be upset that he's gone. Was he kind of a fan favorite up there?
Yeah, I mean, for what I just said, you're just talking about someone who's versatile. You know that you only got 47 active spots on game day, 46, whatever it is. I think it's up to 48 now with some of the rules tweaked the last few years. But the reality is, you're not going to have a backup at every single offensive line position. So even if he's slotted to start at center or right guard, if you have a scenario where the Jaguars have two injuries in the same game, in-game on the offensive line, he's the kind of guy that if you suddenly say, oh my gosh, our left tackle got hurt, or oh my gosh, we don't have our left guard, or oh my gosh, we don't have our right tackle, and we lost we don't have a backup for that spot. McCary's the guy that you would probably point to and say, well, we're going to move him there just for the rest of this game. So he's just been a gamer in that way. He's been a no-nonsense kind of guy going about his business. Again, like I said, when the Ravens invested a $60 million 3-year deal to keep Ronnie Stanley, I think there was, kind of a resignation that, McCary's probably going to get, and he's going to get a nice payday, which Jacksonville is giving him that. That's more than the Ravens, unless they had lost Stanley, that's way more than I think the Ravens would have ultimately been able to do given where their cap and roster is. But, this is a guy who, as I said, over the last 6 years was just really dependable for them. And most of that time was as a backup, but because injuries are a reality in the NFL, he ended up playing a lot and typically played at a pretty high level. So the Ravens will surely miss his versatility. And like I said, even the floor for Ronnie Stanley is that you're getting or for Patrick McCary, excuse me, the floor for him is that you're getting a really versatile player who can move around and just really give you a quality depth piece, either as just a starter or just a versatile guy that's, going to play a lot and might have to play at some different spots.
Luke Jones is our guy up in Baltimore, WNST Radio, when it comes to the Ravens, talking about the brand new Jaguar offensive lineman Patrick McCary, who agreed to terms earlier today. Luke, thank you for joining me on short notice, buddy. We'll do it again soon.
No problem, Ryan. Take care.
There you go, Luke Jones up in Baltimore. And again, I really like McCary and I really like Hainsey. Those are the two that I think are going to be your starting center and starting right guard. Of the 9 guys the Jaguars brought in, the most important, I'd say, are probably those 2. I think there's probably a tie for third between Eric Murray and De'Ami Brown, because Murray's going to be your starting safety. And I like what Gladstone said today at his press conference, and he said it a couple of times now. The word safety, right, means safe. Obviously, the Jaguars were not exactly safe in the secondary last year. That's why they gave up so many plays. Hello, Tyreek Hill, the 80-yarder on opening day. Eric Murray might not be the most flashy guy, but odds are that probably won't happen with him back there, which was what I like. Think of him as like a Barry Church type signing from 2017. And I think De'Ami Brown, look, again, from North Carolina, has done some nice things. Liam Cohen saw up close and personal in that Washington-Tampa wildcard weekend game this year. Brown had 5 for 89 and a touchdown as Washington went in there and beat Tampa on that Sunday night. So I think those are very important. Then obviously Jordan Lewis is very important. Nick Mullins, look, it is what it is. If your backup quarterback's playing, you're in a lot of trouble. Chuma Idogba, the offensive lineman, is going to be your swing tackle. He'll be very valuable if either Walker Little or Anton Harrison go down. And then the 2 tight ends, Johnny Munt and the young man from his name's escaped me from the Rams. I'll think about it in a second. The 2 tight ends are interesting in the sense that you look Long. That's right, Long from Boston College. I knew it'd come to me. Hunter Long. Long is familiar with Gladstone from their days in L.A. Munt knows the system because he was with Kevin O'Connell in Minnesota. And I've talked to numerous people in regards to Hunter Long that think he could be every bit as good, if not better, than Luke Farrell. And you look at what the Jaguars are paying Hunter Long compared to what the 49ers just ended up paying Luke Farrell. So we'll see. Again, it's not going to win a lot of accolades as the best offseason haul in the NFL. But on the surface, if they wanted to raise the floor of the roster, which is what we heard over and over and over, I think the Jaguars have accomplished that. Back into the NFL in one moment. First round of the players is in the books. Boy, what a leaderboard we have out at Sawgrass. What a great story Lucas Glover is. A 6-under round of 66 today for Lucas Glover. The guy, I believe, a major winner, then wasn't on the PGA Tour for a while, and now he's back on, and he's leading after the first round of the players. Camilo Villegas also at 6-under. J.J. Spawn as well. Look, the leaderboard's great with Billy Horschel at 5-under, 1 shot back. Rory McIlroy, 5-under, 1 shot back. A host of guys at 5-under. A big group at 4-under, including Ricky Fowler. And then you go down. You don't have to scroll too far. And there he is, the back-to-back champion, Scotty Scheffler, just lingering. A 3-under round of 69 today. He finds himself 3 shots off the pace after round 1. They'll be right back out there at about 7:45 tomorrow for the second round of the Players out at Sawgrass. Coming up next, more on the Jacksonville Jaguars, but I want to expand it a little bit, right? We know about the Jaguar offseason, and we'll certainly discuss that. What about the offseason they've had in Houston? They added Christian Kirk, but they traded away Laramie Tunsil. What's that all about? What about the offseason in Indianapolis, right? Good additions to the secondary, yet they gave $14 million to Daniel Jones to come in and challenge Anthony Richardson for that starting quarterback spot. And as far as the offseason in Tennessee, it's been very lacking, not a lot of news, but I think it's very apparent now that they're going to draft Cam Ward number 1 6 weeks from tonight. Let's talk Jags, but let's look around the rest of the AFC South. Easton Freeze, A2ZSports.com, up in Nashville, joins me next on a Thursday night here in Northeast Florida. We're glad you're with us. Hacker After Dark till 10 o'clock right here on 1010XL and on 92.5 FM.
The Players Championship is the biggest PGA Tour event you can win.
If you can't make it to the Players, let 1010XL bring the Players to you with Southeast Orthopedic Specialist Leaderboard updates. Teed up by Renewal by Anderson, Custom Windows and Doors.
The Deck Guys.
And Taco Lou.
Hi, it's Rick Ballou. I hope you'll join me and some former NFL players for an incredible event at the end of March, the Lone Warrior Foundation 2025 Champions of Hope Charity Golf and Tennis Challenge. March 31st at Marsh Landing will support single-parent families in their fight against cancer. An opportunity to win sensational prizes, but more importantly, we will bring meaningful hope and support to the lives of families affected. To sign up, go to LoneWarriorFoundation.com. That's LoneWarriorFoundation.com.
You've got a lot on your plate. The last thing you need is car trouble. At Maxie's Mechanics, we help you keep your cars, trucks, and SUVs running safely. Visit MaxieAutoRepair.com today for honest service, reliable repairs, and peace of mind for you and your family.
Rick Ballou for Carlson Dental. You know, I've been telling you this for quite some time because it's true. I hate going to the dentist, or at least I used to hate going to the dentist. I had total anxiety, and then I tried sedation, light sedation for cleaning and deep sedation as well for cavities and root canals. Folks, it's an incredible experience. So don't be nervous. Don't be scared. Go to CarlsonDentalGroup.com. That's CarlsonDentalGroup.com for all of your dental needs.
Catch Gators baseball all season long on 1010XL. Pitched by Farah and Farah, the official personal injury law firm of the Jaguars. And Renewal by Anderson, the official window and door replacement partner of the Florida Gators.
Are you thinking about a pool for your home? Blue Haven Pools is Jacksonville's largest pool builder. They've built pools for over 20,000 satisfied families since 2000. It's never been easier to design the perfect pool for your home, family, and budget. Call Blue Haven Pools today at 904-620-0090 to get a free in-home estimate for your in-ground pool, or visit bluehaven.com. Don't let another summer pass by without a pool. Join thousands of happy Jacksonville pool owners in a Blue Haven pool.
ET here, and if you've ever been injured in an accident, visit my buddy Dr. McGowan at McGowan Spinal Rehabilitation Center. You have 14 days to see a doctor and protect your insurance benefits, even if you're at fault. And no matter what you hear, you have the right to choose your own doctor. So I recommend McGowan Spinal Rehabilitation. Their auto experts will guide you in every step of the way to ensure the care that you need. Your recovery starts with McGowan Spinal Rehabilitation.
Here's your 1010XL community calendar of local events and nonprofit groups helping people here at home.
If you'd like to help support domestic violence victims, you can get involved in the Par for a Purpose golf tournament, hosted by Micah's Place at the Golf Club of Amelia Island on June 20th. Register and learn more at micahsplace.org/golf.
The Tom Coughlin J Fund helps families battling childhood cancer, and there are ways you can help. Go to tcjfund.org.
If you're a dog lover who wants to help animals, our furry friends need exercise and time out of their kennels. You can make a difference in a dog's life at volunteer@jackshumane.org.
Military veterans have always protected us. And in Jacksonville, thousands of our veterans suffer from mental wounds like PTSD. Now it's time to return the favor. Learn how you can help at woundedwarriorproject.org.
You can find out how to share your community event at 1010XL.com.
Attention skilled electricians. Are you undervalued at your current company? Time to step up to the bigger projects and better opportunities. Join the team at Miller Electric Company, a trusted name in the industry for over 96 years. At Miller, we tackle the biggest projects in the city, offering not just a job, but an experienced, top-notch pay, unbeatable benefits, and the best working environments in the business. Please join the team that values your skills and rewards your hard work. Elevate your career to new heights. Apply today at millercareers.com, an equal opportunity employer.
It's March Madness, and your office needs a champion. Advanced Business Solutions teams up with Xerox to bring you copiers that never miss a shot. Fast, reliable, and ready to handle the pressure. Make the winning play for your business. Hire the champions at Advanced Business Solutions, where your business goes for the win. Locally and veteran-owned.
Print documents and IT management. Advanced Business Solutions.
This is your Mad Dad's Update with Chapter President Donald Ford. In our effort to curb crime, drugs, and violence during the summer months, we are offering Friday Night Lights. It has already started and will be going until school starts back. It is every Friday night from 6:30 to 9:30 at the Blacktop, 5732 Normandy Boulevard, and behind the Potter's House Christian Academy. We manage 3 basketball courts. You are not running on the cement. We have covering on each court. The Lakers, the Magic, and the Heat. Ages 15 to 40 years old. This will give them something to do other than selling drugs and getting into trouble. We have monitors there giving leadership. We have to wake up, stand up, and speak up. Hit me on Facebook and tell me what you think. Or MattDadJacksonville.com.
WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach. 1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville, he's Hacker. After dark on 1010XL.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. Boy, it has been a wild offseason here in Jacksonville, from the coaching search to the GM search to being the most active team thus far in NFL free agency. And it's been an interesting offseason, quite frankly, with every team in the AFC South, from the Titans to the Colts on over to the Houston Texans. Let's talk about all of it with Easton Freeze, A2ZSports.com. Always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL in Jacksonville. Easton, how you doing, man?
I'm great. How are you?
Hey, Easton, we're good, buddy. Thank you for the time, as always. All right, you and I last spoke when you were at the Senior Bowl, so it's been a little while since we talked. Let's start with Jacksonville, and then let's work around the division. 9 outside free agents to this point brought in. Maybe not the big splashes, but clearly they've 3 offensive linemen, a wide receiver, a safety, a corner. What do you make out of what Jacksonville has done to this point?
Yeah, I think it makes sense for where they're at in their build. And you're right that they aren't the splashiest signings so far. No team in the AFC South really has been. I'm trying to think, what team in the league do we feel like has been the splashiest so far? There's no team that is obvious to me like the Titans were last year with, oh, wow, they're, quote unquote, winning free agency. And that's a good thing. I think the Titans were the latest to demonstrate how that's usually a recipe for disaster. So, Jacksonville's in a place where, with the new coach, new GM, I physically bumped into your new GM at the Combine a couple weeks ago, and we were walking in opposite directions, and we just brushed shoulders, and I took about 9 steps past him, racking my brain. Where do I know that guy from? I know, and I'm like, what outlet does he work for? Because he looks like he's this is on Radio Row on the media floor, right? So I'm like, is he NBC? Is this guy ESPN? I'm like, oh no, wait, that's the new GM for the Jaguars, right? So I looks aside, and I'm sure that joke has been made a million times already in Jacksonville. I do think he knows what he's doing. And with a team that is centered around the quarterback, who you have to have faith in at this point, given the contract, I think there's still reason to have faith in being able to build a good team around him and develop him into a top 12, top 10 quarterback in the league in the right circumstance. but it's going to take the right situation. And I just think what they had built there in Jacksonville the past 2 or 3 seasons, again, some parallels to what's happening in Tennessee. It's a lot of, I don't want to say rot because that's the wrong, that's a little bit too strong. But I think there was a lot of poor process on the books that needed to be ripped out at the root, and there needed to be a fresh approach taken. And I think that's what's happening in Jacksonville. And so I think what they've done so far has been prudent. I think that it hasn't been flashy, but for all the right reasons.
Easton Freeze, A2ZSports.com. Easton, you're based in Nashville. I'm just curious the reaction up there when the Jaguars decided to part ways with both Christian Kirk and Evan Ingram.
Yeah, I think it probably surprised quite a few people, especially the trade for Christian Kirk, just because you don't often see trades inside a division. I did think that was a good teaching moment for some folks that maybe aren't as up to the times, up to speed on where we are at the NFL at this point, because all the time, and you probably experienced this too, you hear from more casual NFL fans, well, that trade will never happen. That guy's never going to go to a team in the division. Teams don't really care about that anymore. Like it's been a little bit now. We've seen this. Teams aren't afraid to trade in division. They aren't afraid to let guys walk and go to play for another team in the division. Sometimes it bites you in the butt, like, I don't know, the Eagles with Saquon Barkley and the Giants last year, but that's more the exception than it is the rule. And so I'm not surprised one bit that Jacksonville did that and got just a little bit of value out of what was going to be nothing for them when Christian Kirk moved on. The Evan Ingram one is a little bit more surprising to me personally, just because I do think he's a good player. And ultimately, I think and maybe you see it differently because you're closer to it. To me, the reasoning behind that is just because he is a good player whose skill set maybe doesn't align perfectly with what Trevor Lawrence is best at. And I think somebody like Brian Thomas Jr. is a better fit just from a skill player profile for Trevor Lawrence than Ingram is. And where Ingram ends up, obviously, in Denver, if the vision there is we're just going to have Bo Nix throw seam balls to this big athletic tight end who can run after the catch, I see the vision there. I think that's the kind of fit that you want for him. And so it's probably best for Jacksonville to have moved on. And is that a loss of a good player? Yes. But that's the way that these rebuilds work in the NFL. There's going to be some pain involved. To tear it down to the studs, you got to get rid of some guys that you have affection for one reason or another. But in the long run, it's what's best for you as a franchise.
Yeah, I look at Ingram. He's going to be 31, I believe, before the season starts. Last year was the first real injury-plagued season that he had, so we'll see what happens. But I do think Denver is a good landing spot for him. Let's look around the division. Let's start with where you are up in Nashville. Again, Easton Freeze of A2Z Sports. Titans Twitter was just going beside themselves, not making any moves in the first day or two. They've made a few moves since.
And what a bunch of goldfish, right? I mean, this is a fan base that watched them make all the moves last year, and they loved it, and it was amazing, and you felt like you were, the Hollywood stars of free agency. And then you had to live for 8 months how that worked out for you. And then I felt like we had this mutual understanding going in that, it's going to be very different this time. And just something about maybe it's a Twitter thing, maybe it's a social media thing. You just see red once that starting bell hits. And if your team is not coming across the ticker on the news, all logic and reason goes out the window, and you're desperate for them to make moves that they probably shouldn't be making.
Well, let me ask you this, as far as the Titans go. I like some of the things they've done on the line of scrimmage, releasing Harold Landry, but they bring in Jones. I mean, they've done some good things. I guess skill position-wise is where I have my biggest question. Calvin Ridley, obviously. But, what are they going to do as far as weapons? And, for that matter, is Cam Ward going to be the pick at number 1?
Yeah, so I'll start with that last part. Cam Ward, I wrote about this, my first article, the Sunday after the Combine. I wrote about how Cam Ward is going to be the pick at number 1. That was pretty much locked in stone to me in Indianapolis 2 weeks ago. And I do believe the Titans are the team that's going to be making that pick. And I think that if you had any doubt about that, what they've done so far in free agency has pretty much solidified that. The roadmap is there. I had somebody in the building in the last couple of days tell me, and they're pretty tight-lipped about it, but I had somebody tell me, the plan is not hard to figure out if you're paying attention. And so I think that what you've seen materialize for them in free agency, and I could go on and on about this, but I'll keep it brief. I think what you've seen from this new regime is them abiding by the core tenets that they laid out for us when they came in, and they said that this is going to be very different from the sugar rush offseason that the last regime had. That I think, they want to stray away from. They see the Washington Commanders and the way that they built last year as the model. Now, they're not naive enough to think that if we just do it the same way the Commanders did, that we'll also go from the first overall pick, the second overall pick to the conference championship. But the process is what they admire, and they think that that's the way to go about things. Where I think Washington last year, 21 of their 26 free agent signings were one-year deals. That's what the Titans are going to be doing over the next month or so, a flurry of one-year deals. You saw a couple of big one-year deals handed out yesterday to guys in the trenches. And those are the tenets, right? They're going to be building through the trenches in what they consider to be a rebuild here in Tennessee. They have finished the offensive line. The offensive line for the first time in 4 or 5 years now there's no clear weakness on paper. They have a set of clearly starting caliber tackles, and they have strengths at every interior position. They're in good shape there. Now it has to come together, and we'll see how that works. But again, it's the first time in multiple years that they've come in without a clear weakness on the offensive line. And now you see the defensive line as a priority work in progress. That they're going to, I would bet significant money on them spending probably the second pick that they have, 35 overall, on one of the great edge players in this deep edge class. They sign a player that can affect the passer in Traymon Jones yesterday. And they're probably going to make another signing or two to round out that room. And so they'll build through the trenches. They are going to abide by the Washington model of small contracts primarily, and overpays are going to be the exception to the rule, and they're going to be intentional at positions of premium need like tackle.
Easton, as we begin to wrap up, you mentioned the offensive line is probably solidified for the first time in a while in Nashville. That is not the case in Houston. I don't, quite frankly, understand what the Texans are doing, but they've traded Kenyon Green. They traded Laramie Tunsil. They released Shaq Mason. I mean, good grief, man. C.J. Stroud's got to be wondering what on earth's going on.
Yeah, I get all of the moves that aren't Laramie Tunsil, just because outside of Laramie Tunsil last year, it was a four-man clown show. To be honest with you, it was a real disaster, not just in their level of play, but also their ability to play together, pick up basic stunts, no assignments. Like when you watched it on tape, they were not just a group of bad players. They were a group of sloppy, not on the same page players, for lack of a better way to put it. And that comes down to coaching as well. So, the coaching staff, obviously they have moved on from their offensive line coach. They've changed the way that, and their offensive coordinator for that matter, they've changed the way that they're going to be addressing that from a coaching standpoint. But they're also going to change it from the way that they're going to address it, with the personnel. And it's the Tunsil move that I find pretty silly. I've been told by people on the ground in Houston that are much better connected than I that it makes sense to them, just because apparently it was a culture personality misfit that had been kind of boiling under the surface for a while. That they were, he was constantly asking for more money. They would have to negotiate with him to practice. That it was kind of one of those things that they just were done with the player, which I get. But he's clearly the best player on that unit. He's clearly a starting caliber tackle in the NFL, an above average starting caliber tackle in the NFL. And yeah, he had some false starts last year, but aside from week 1 and the playoff game at the end of the year, he didn't allow a sack in any of those games in between those two games. So I don't know, they're starting over, and maybe they move up in the draft to get one of these. It's not a great tackle draft, but there are a couple of guys that they could, go up and get, or maybe they wait for somebody like Josh Connerly out of Oregon to follow to them at whatever they're at, 24, 25, somewhere in there. It's going to be a lot of young, inexperienced players on that offensive line protecting C.J. Stroud. It is a really rough situation. I'm with you on not really being sure what the plan is there, and I just hope C.J. Stroud lives.
Yeah, talking about not knowing the plan, let's end in Indianapolis. Look, I like what the Colts have done in the secondary. I really like Cam Bynum. They added Tre'Davious Ward. I like that a lot. But clearly the big question now, when you pay Daniel Jones $14 million, that appears to be mano-a-mano going into camp in a couple of months, right? It's Daniel Jones versus Anthony Richardson for that spot, correct?
Yeah, if you kind of put your hands out in front of you and block out the part of the depth chart that says quarterback and just pay attention to the rest of the team, I really like what they're doing right now, the way that they've addressed their defense, especially that secondary, which needed a lot of help. They got a new defensive coordinator in there this year, and they're going to be, Lou Anarumo out of Cincinnati is their guy, and I think he's awesome, and I think that he's going to be he and that new personnel is going to be a big step up for them. But you're right. I mean, talk about a portent of doom for Anthony Richardson. This is the most. It's funny. It's the most reasonable ultimatum that I've seen in the NFL in a long time. This is very simple for Anthony Richardson. The Colts are saying, Anthony, you got to beat Daniel Jones. Beat Daniel Jones. That's what you have to do. If you don't, your career's over. Like it's a wrap, buddy. And I know you're only 20. You're about to be 23 years old, and there's a lot of good athletic prime ahead of you. But they're saying we think it's very reasonable for us to ask you to simply beat out Daniel Jones in August, and if you can do that, great. We'll continue on, and Daniel Jones will be a nice, expensive backup. I do think it's a little bit of bluffery from them. Just because it's almost like a parenting maneuver where, as a parent, you tell some white lies to your kids to get them to do what you want. You tell them the TV is broken when they can't watch TV or whatever it is. And I do think that they're, bluffing a little bit in the sense that they know if they end up having to go if Daniel Jones beats out Anthony Richardson, they're super fired. Like it's over, everybody's done. So they need this to work. Then they need Anthony Richardson to buy the fact that they're not kidding about Daniel Jones potentially winning the job. We'll see if it works. I don't know. Maybe he's only 22 years old. Maybe it is the push that he needs, and it's primarily a maturity thing, and he comes around and ends up being a good quarterback. But I'm not holding my breath on it.
No, it's been a wild offseason in really every aspect of the division, from Jacksonville to Nashville to Houston to Indy, and we're only getting started. We're still, 6 weeks away from the NFL draft. Easton Freeze, A2ZSports.com. Easton, what do you have coming up on the website in the coming days and weeks?
Yeah, got a lot of written content coming every single day over at A2ZSports.com. Got an interview that's going to be dropping here in a little bit with an offensive line expert talking about what the Titans have done on the offensive line. At Brandon Thorne over at Trench Warfare Substack, which I recommend you guys go check out if you haven't. So a lot of written work, a lot of stuff on the YouTube channel, talking about the draft, talking about prospects that even Jaguars fans are interested in. This time of year, my focus zooms out on the Titans a little bit and more just league-wide, talking about the prospects in this draft class. So even if you're not a Titans fan, check out my work over at A2ZSports.com under the draft section. You'll find some good stuff.
Easton, I know you're busy. Thank you for taking time out, bud. We'll talk again soon.
Always a pleasure, Ryan.
Big moment. Play-by-play is full of plot twists.
Did that just happen?
And high-octane drama.
And this game is tied.
Experience the most play-by-play sports on 1010XL.
Blue here for the Blue Crab House, located right off of San Jose. It's on Jewington Creek Road. They've been around since 1996. Indoor-outdoor dining. Also, takeout is available at the Blue Crab House. Open 4:30 to 9, Tuesday through Saturday. Sunday, noon until 9. Remember, Tuesday, $2 margaritas. Wednesday, $1 oyster night. How about the blue crabs? How about my personal favorite, the Canadian snow crabs? Whatever it is that you fancy, you get it right there. The Blue Crab House.
Hey, gang, Prosser here. We've talked about some of the struggles that you may come across when it comes time to sell your home. We've told you how great Chad and Sandy are at chadandsandy.com. But, they're also great when things are going good, and the economy is showing positive signs. Now may be the time to sell your home at the price you want. It's easy to find out. Get friendly expert help from the Jacksonville agents who eat and sleep local real estate. Call my agents, Chad and Sandy Newman. So maybe you want guaranteed no-hassle home sale but don't want to give up hard-earned equity to do it. Chad and Sandy can do that. Maybe you're worried you won't sell your home for the price you need. Well, let's take care of that right now, because here's the Chad and Sandy guarantee. Your home sold at an agreed-upon price and deadline, or they will buy it. Jonathan in Mount Pleasant said the only thing standing between me and my dream of traveling in my RV was the sale of my Mount Pleasant home. I heard Chad and Sandy on the radio and called. Crazy results in just 3 days. Multiple offers, full asking price. You can get it too. Call today or go to ChadAndSandy.com.
Jacksonville's summer heat is coming in fast. Is your AC ready to handle it, or will it quit on you on the hottest day of the year, leaving you sweating and stuck with a huge repair bill? Duck Air Conditioning is here to save the day with a free AC system inspection. Our expert techs will make recommendations to ensure your AC system is running in tip-top shape before the heat arrives. Call now, 904-862-6769. Duck Air Conditioning, duckac.com. Any required repairs are not included in the inspection.
Have you tried golfing at the improved Cimarron Golf Club? If you haven't, tell you what, you're missing out on the best deal in Jacksonville. Now, many of you have received a postcard in the mail, and of course, if you bring that with you, $45 plus tax to play. That includes a cart, lunch, and a beer at the brand new Stone Barrel Tap House. Now, go to the website, that is CimarronGolfClub.com, and sign up for the Wild One Loyalty Program. That's the Wild One Loyalty Program, and get all of these specials emailed to you from Cimarron.
This Date in Sports History is brought to you by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
On March 13, 2022, after a 40-day retirement, record-breaking quarterback Tom Brady announces he will play at least one more NFL season with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Why pay more for prescriptions? Stop overpaying and start saving with SingleCare. It's easy. Find your prescription on SingleCare.com, show the coupon at the pharmacy, and start saving. SingleCare works at pharmacies nationwide and is completely free to use, whether you have insurance or not. So the next time you fill a prescription, check SingleCare to make sure you're getting the best price. Take control of your prescription costs. Go to SingleCare.com or download the free app today.
Struggling with ED? Now Riddle Wellness has a solution that works. You've heard of PRP treatments for joint pain relief. That same technology is now available with the P-Shot, a non-surgical treatment for ED. Using your body's natural power, the P-Shot helps restore function naturally. No pills, no downtime, just results. Schedule a free consultation at ElevateJacksonville.com and learn what the P-Shot can do for you. Riddle Wellness, your health, your confidence totally restored. Visit ElevateJacksonville.com.
Mia here. Getting more is great, and that's what makes this sale so great. It's a sale on top of a sale, and it's going on now at Arlington Toyota Pre-Owned. Get $0 down and just $288 per month for a pre-owned 2022 Toyota Corolla. Or you choose a pre-owned 2021 Camry, RAV4, Tacoma for $0 down and $388 per month. You can even choose no payments till July 2025. Shop in person on Atlantic Boulevard, just a quarter mile east of 295, or online anytime at arlingtontoyota.com.
Your tax refund is here. Why not invest in your home? Superior Fence and Rail helps you build value with beautiful, durable fences that boost your home security, privacy, and curb appeal. With expert installation and financing options, turning your yard into an outdoor oasis is easier than ever. Reinvest in your home today with Superior Fence and Rail.
When you're on the fence, about a fence, SuperiorFenceandRail.com.
Committed to the mission. At Navy Mutual, we're committed to providing high-quality life insurance to members of the military and their families. Because at Navy Mutual, our highest commitment is to you. Visit NavyMutual.org.
For K-9 Veterans Day, Navy Mutual would like to salute all active and retired K-9s that have served our country. K-9 Veterans Day has been officially designated as a day to honor these unique members of our military. America salutes you.
Instant Keys. You don't have to go to the dealer. Instant Keys comes to you. Call 904-722-1111.
Instant Keys saves the day if you've lost or broken keys. They can program new keys and remotes for nearly every make and model of vehicle at a fraction of the dealership cost. Fast, honest, and reliable locksmith service. Call Instant Keys, 722-1111.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
Yes, it is. Glad you're with us. Thursday night, Hacker After Dark, 1010XL and 92.5 FM. Couple of pieces of business. Florida on the court tomorrow in the SEC basketball tournament. They play the winner of this game going on right now between Mississippi State and Missouri. Keep in mind, that is a 7 o'clock Eastern tip tomorrow. because Texas and Texas A&M earlier today went to double overtime. Missouri and Mississippi State started late. 13:40 right now to go in the second half. Mississippi State's up 46-45. So a really good game between the Bulldogs and the Tigers. Again, the winner gets Florida. The winner gets Florida in 21 hours at 7 o'clock tomorrow. And they're in a battle right now against each other with still 13 minutes to go in the second half. So Florida will absolutely be the more rested team tomorrow night. We will see what happens. Of course, you'll hear that game on 10:10 a.m. tomorrow with Florida in the SEC tournament. We'll have Brent Beard on. You see him on First Coast News, and you hear him weekly right here on Hacker After Dark. He comes up in the next 10 minutes or so. We'll certainly spend some time on the SEC basketball tourney. Boy, they're projected to get 12 or even 13 teams into the big dance. Absolutely wild how good the SEC has been this year in college basketball. And some news coming out from an NFL insider. Now, again, take this for what you will, but Jordan Schultz of Fox Sports, I think Jordan does a pretty good job. He says, basically, contrary to reports about Cooper Kupp and the Jaguars are not in on Cooper Kupp. He had that about 30 minutes ago on social media. That is not a surprise. I told you guys last night, trust in James Gladstone. No one in this city knows more about Cooper Kupp than James Gladstone. And if Kupp's best days are behind him, if Kupp has lost something in the tank, Gladstone's going to know. More so than I will or you will or anybody else will that's not named James Gladstone. So who knows if Kupp would have even come here anyway? Does he want to play for a contender? Does he want to stay on the West Coast? Does he want to go to the highest bidder? All fair questions. But it appears Jacksonville, at least according to Jordan Schultz of Fox, is not in the mix. I wonder, quite frankly, if they ever were in the mix. Right now, it's BTJ, De'Ami Brown, Gabe Davis, Parker Washington. It would not surprise me if they had a veteran receiver in free agency, but I think very early in the draft, probably in round 2 or round 3, you will see Jacksonville draft a wide receiver to round out that room. But don't expect Cooper Kupp to be coming to Jacksonville anytime soon, at least according to Jordan Schultz of Fox. So a lot of Jaguar talk. Obviously, James Gladstone met the media earlier today. The 9 free agents met the media. We just had that report on Cooper Kupp. The players going on, 3-way tie at the leaderboard. Among those, Camilo Villegas and Lucas Glover at 6 under with rounds of 66. Rory McIlroy only 1 shot back. Scotty Scheffler only 3 shots back as second-round action of the players begins tomorrow morning. And, of course, like we said, March Madness, really good SEC tournament games already. And spring football is going on all over the country, including Gainesville, Athens, Coral Gables, among others. And let's talk about all of that with my buddy Brent Beard. You see him locally on First Coast News, and you get him weekly right here on Hacker After Dark. On a Thursday evening here in Northeast Florida with Casey Dobson, the Hacker Ryan Green with you. Jacksonville, we're glad you're with us. Right here, Hacker After Dark, 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
The world will be watching Ponte Vedra.
And the Scheffler victory train just keeps on rolling.
Get live Southeast Orthopedic Specialist leaderboard updates.
Teed up by Roundtree Sauce,
Surfside Pools,
and Performance Painting
on 1010XL.
Hey, this is Darren with One Call Lawn and Pest Control. Since 2011, we've taken great pride in being Northeast Florida's premier lawn, termite, and pest control company. Our technicians receive thorough training year-round, focusing on exceptional customer service with meticulous attention to detail. One Call serves the greater Jacksonville area, including St. Augustine, Orange Park, and Fernandina. We're eager for the opportunity to earn your business and welcome you to the One Call family. Call or text us for a free quote, 413-8377.
Bueller, stay cooler with Bueller.
Hey, buddy, you look worried.
Worried? I'm apoplectic!
You're what now?
I'm freaking out, Jason. Stupid water heater crapped out, so I haven't showered since Thursday. I start smelling a little funky, blow my big corporate job interview tomorrow, I'll end up settling for some dead-end career selling spatulas on the internet.
Dude, stay cool.
There's nothing cool about a cold shower, Jason. I mean, I know how that sounds, but
Bueller Air and Plumbing can get a new water heater installed today. The day you call. You could be smelling fresh again by dinner time.
wait, you can do that?
Put on these sunglasses. Whoa. Is that cooler?
Oh, yeah.
Well, life moves pretty fast. If you spend much more time smelling like this, you could miss it.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Visit BuellerAir.com.
Baseball is back. Don't miss this year's Florida State baseball game, Tuesday, March 25th at VyStar Ballpark at 6 p.m. This can't-miss event sells out quickly, so buy your tickets today to get the best seats possible. It's Florida State on the diamond at VyStar Ballpark, Tuesday, March 25th. Get your tickets at TaxSlayerGatorBowl.com. TaxSlayerGatorBowl.com. We'll see you at the ballpark.
If you're at home on the range, tee it up with the Edwin Watts Golf Hour. Tour news, local updates, and the latest gear. The Edwin Watts Golf Hour. Saturday morning at 10 on 1010XL.
A hardworking student athlete deserves recognition.
Catch the Southeast Orthopedic Specialist Scholar Athlete of the Week. Brought to you by the Plumbers and Pipefitters Local Union 234. Wednesdays on The Franchi Show.
On 1010XL.
Guys, want a golf course fairway quality lawn? TopDressing.com just landed in Jacksonville with the golf course secret for St. Augustine grass homeowners. A patented process that aerates and turns your turf into a fairway stunner. Serious golf course technology, but in your yard. Less water, tighter cuts, total neighborhood domination. No one else scores a perfect 10 lawn. Hit TopDressing.com now. You will own the block. Top dress your yard like the pros with TopDressing.com.
This is Hayes Carline for Physician Guided Weight Loss. I'm down over 25 pounds already this year, and I feel great with no side effects, all thanks to their amazing technology, fast setup, friendly staff, and their proven results. Plus, a firm pricing structure means there are no rising costs as you go. If you're ready for a leaner body ahead of the warmer weather coming, call my friends at Physician Guided Weight Loss at 257-4344. That's 257-4344, Physician Guided Weight Loss.
Is your backyard ready for the big leagues? Pick it here for Surfside Pools. Serving Northeast Florida since 1977, they have the home field advantage. Family owned and operated, offering weekly pool service, equipment repairs, commercial maintenance, remodels, and new pool construction. Let Surfside Pools make your backyard dreams a reality. Are you ready to float happy? Visit SurfsidePools.net or call 904-246-2666. Surfside Pools and Spas, your hometown MVP.
License number CPC 044080.
Spring and summer are coming. Will your pool deck be ready? Don't Slip Deck Coatings of Jacksonville has you covered. Their multi-layered slip-resistant coatings come in a variety of colors, adding safety, durability, and style to your outdoor spaces. Plus, they offer slip-resistant solutions for inside your home, too. Long-lasting, affordable, and built to protect your family. Don't wait. Call today for a free quote. 904-466-1839. And follow Don't Slip Jacks on Facebook and Instagram.
The Jacksonville Icemen are back at home this Friday and Saturday evening at VyStar Veterans Memorial Arena. Join us Friday as the Icemen take on the Orlando Solar Bears for Wizards Night, presented by Florida Department of Health. Come out and wear your house colors. Then on Saturday, the Icemen close out their home set against the Savannah Ghost Pirates. Game time at 7. Tickets available on Ticketmaster or by calling 904-602-PUCK. Iceman Hockey is hashtag Frozen Frenzy.
Hey, it's Adam from Counting Crows, and we were going to hire a typical Out Radio guy to tell you about the summer's Complete Suites tour, but I wanted to just invite you myself.
Guess I should.
Old songs, new songs. We'll be joined by our friends, the Gaslight Anthem. It's a summer butter miracle. Come and hang with us. Okay, your turn now.
Saturday, July 19th, St. Augustine Amphitheater. Tickets on sale Friday at 10 a.m. at theamp.com.
Pick in here, beat the spring cleaning rush, and call our cleaning heroes at Zero Res. This month, get one room Zero Resified starting at $53. Take $100 off your air duct cleaning. Visit ZeroResJacksonville.com and tell them 1010XL sent you.
Zero Res. 1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. This is Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. Boy, spring football has started up all over the country. It's already begun in Gainesville, in Athens, and Coral Gables. Florida State will begin next week. And then, of course, the college basketball world is front and center with championship week this week and March Madness officially kicking off next week. Let's talk about all of it with my buddy Brent Beard. You see him locally on First Coast News, and you get him weekly right here on Hacker After Dark. Mr. Beard, how are you, my friend?
Well, it's a wonderful time of year in a lot of ways. I mean, spring is here, and if you're a college football and basketball fan, it's I won't say it's utopia, but it's pretty close. So March is a very undervalued month of the year as far as college sports is concerned.
There's no doubt. And the SEC, the basketball world, will convene in Nashville this week for the SEC tournament. Now, Florida won't even play until Friday. You know, it's interesting, Brent. 16 teams obviously will be in the tournament. 10 of the 16 will be eliminated before Florida even takes the court at 7 o'clock Eastern on Friday. The Gators with the double bye. But my goodness, what a scene that should be in Nashville this week.
Well, it will receive all kinds of publicity. This is the best year the Southeastern Conference has ever had. The excitement will be unbelievable. But what we talk about and the reality of this, frankly, are a couple of different things. And what I mean by that is your teams with the double bye, Alabama, Tennessee, Auburn, and Florida all have mixed emotions, don't they, Hank? I mean, I know they like to have a banner, but if they are one and done, they would be okay with that because they can actually get some rest. And it's good that nobody has a midweek game this week, so that will help all of them. So in Selection Sunday is coming up Sunday, so frankly, the excitement for this league is unparalleled right now.
You know, it's interesting from the Auburn standpoint because I agree with you. They're locked into a number one. There's no doubt about that in the NCAA tournament. But the other three, right, Alabama, Tennessee, and Florida, now we remember what happened to both Auburn and Florida last year. They make the conference championship game and then ultimately lose in round one of the tournament. But if you're the Gators, the Volunteers, or the Crimson Tide, all three are theoretically battling for that final number one seed. And I guess, Brent, it might go to the team that stays around the longest in Nashville.
The thing you really don't know about committees, and we see this every year, is how much they value the conference tournaments. Now, we've seen years to where the conference tournaments made a huge difference, and then it's been obvious after Selection Sunday that the conference tournaments meant nothing. And they pretty well had this thing slotted by Friday night or Saturday afternoon. So that really is the mystery within Sunday is how important will this tournament be to this committee. So there is a little bit of air of mystery to this, yes.
You see Brent Beard on First Coast News. You also get him weekly right here on Hacker After Dark. Brent, spring football going on all over the country. It doesn't begin for Florida State, though, until next week, but certainly the Seminoles have been in the news along with Clemson. You know, the thought for a while was that both teams were going to get out of the Atlantic Coast Conference, and there were lawsuits and all sorts of stuff, and all of a sudden now you look here in March of 2025, and apparently it's all kumbaya between the Tigers, the Seminoles, and the ACC as the lawsuits have all been dismissed.
Well, it's kumbaya for another probably 3.5 to 5 years. And what we mean by that is this new deal will go through 2030, and then it will come open basically at the same time that a lot of these other contracts are going to be coming open for the rest of the conferences. A lot of it will be TV. But what did happen with the new deal is Clemson, Florida State are dropping their lawsuits. The ACC would change its revenue model, and they will give a more significant amount of money to the schools based on the TV ratings. Well, this is what Florida State and Clemson has wanted all along. We draw the most eyeballs, so we should get the most money. Well, that's frankly going to happen. Now, the other thing here that is incredibly significant, and it's easy to overlook this, but believe me, it won't be in a few years, is the exit fee and the grant of rights commitments has been lowered to only $75 million. Now, people will snicker at that a little bit, but look, when you're talking about the exit fee being $125 to $150 million, you've got it down to 75, and can probably negotiate that one. This is a temporary stay for the ACC to keep everybody together for another 5 years, which frankly is a boom to them. But after that, and I've talked to some Florida State people, sources in Tallahassee, who have said they still want out at the end of the 5 years, and that's understandable. But for now, that they will all be together in that, and it would be much easier for them to get out now in 5 years than it would be, say, even 6 months ago or so. So yes, we're glad it's done. It will be fascinating to follow. But believe me, that doesn't mean that expansion is dead. It's just dormant.
Well, Florida State and Clemson dismissing the lawsuit. Speaking of Clemson, quickly, Brent, I saw this in the last week. Boy, recruiting for Dabo Swinney. Good heavens. Now, for whatever reason, Dabo was kind of fallen to the wayside in the public conscience as far as the better coaches in college football. They've had a little bit of struggles at Clemson. Maybe weren't recruiting as good as they had in years past. Maybe they weren't hitting the portal, obviously. But you saw Naheem Burrows from Bowles, right here, go to Clemson. Yep. I think Clemson added a couple other 5 stars as well. All of a sudden, Dabo Swinney and Clemson looks like they're scorching the earth again in recruiting.
Well, they made some staff changes that's helped them, and they've got a good team that's coming back. Kate Klubnik's coming back at quarterback. So they are kind of the end team right now and doing extremely well. And Dabo actually has proven that he will stick his toe in the transfer portal. And so I would be curious to see, Hack, if him being willing. Now, look, he's not going to take 15 guys, but he may take 3 to 5. And if you do, that will make a big difference. So I would be very curious the correlation between showing players that he is willing to take a chance and go to the transfer portal, if that has affected his actual high school recruiting to show players and prospects that he may be willing to change a little bit, and I think that would help him. Do you?
I know, I do. I absolutely do. And again, Dabo, one of the most accomplished coaches in college football. Again, kind of lost his footing from a perception standpoint for maybe a year or two, but it looks like he's getting that footing pretty good on solid ground once again. A couple of more for Brent Beard. You see him locally on First Coast News. You get him weekly right here on Hacker After Dark. Brent, we're a weekend to Florida. Spring practice after a week's worth of drills. What stood out to you so far down in Gainesville?
Well, obviously, I think the big thing for them would be DJ Lagway being limited. We really don't know what's going on. Shoulder injury and lower body issue, which obviously that probably is still a hamstring. I mean, you don't need him to do much, but you would like to see him being in harmony with his other receivers. that's going to be interesting. Caleb Banks is out with a foot injury. Jamari Lyons is going to be sidelined. He's still recovering from a broken ankle. So you've got a lot of guys who are out. But heck, isn't it a important spring for some of these positions like the secondary? Don't you want to see more depth there and more guys get a real opportunity to be able to step up? So, look, spring is still important. I'm glad Florida's got a spring game, even though it's probably going to be limited or modified, as they like to say. I think it's going to be important who the backup quarterback's going to be. So certainly, Hank, they will answer some questions, but a lot of questions will remain. But it's exciting to have them in spring practice. And listen, I think getting Bubba Spurrier in there is I've seen several people mention this, has created a little bit of buzz too.
No, I agree. And going back to Caleb Banks, I say this tongue-in-cheek a little bit. You know, the next time I want to see Caleb Banks on a football field is around August 30th. I think I'm good. Yeah. I don't need Caleb Banks to do anything in the spring or even the summer with what that guy did to end the year. No question about it.
Really?
All right, Brent, the Georgia Bulldogs fire up spring football this week. Another year for Kirby Smart. Look, there's some disappointment at the end of last year, no question, with that loss to Penn State, or I guess to Notre Dame, rather. But what is your thought about Georgia heading into the spring this year?
They have a lot of work to do, to say the least. Now, we think we know the situation at quarterback. Gunnar Stockton's probably going to be the guy. But at the same time, Pulisci is maybe the backup. Ryan Montgomery tore his ACL back in August, so they're trying to get him mended. He is going to be one of the guys they're looking at. Hezekiah Malinder as a true freshman. So that will be interesting. Nate Frazier is going to be the running back number one. But they've got some good depth there. Cash Jones, Chauncey Bowens. Also, they've got to get something going here at wide receiver. The wide receivers last year were subpar. They led the nation in drop passes. Dylan Bell comes back. Oscar Delp comes back. Lawson Lucky does. The big thing is going to be the offensive line. They lose a lot of guys to the NFL. That's going to be big. But the biggest thing of all is Georgia fans need to be aware that Mike Bobo is coming back, and he is going to be the offense coordinator, play caller, and the quarterback's coach. Now, what has happened is people have just now found out, and I give the Athens Banner Herald credit for this, that his contract runs through 2026. He'll get a little bump in salary, but that is done, and that's not changing, frankly. So, heck, Florida's had it, Georgia's had it, every team in the SEC has had it, to where you've got a love-hate relationship between the fans and the coordinators.
Yeah, no question about it, and there has certainly been that with Mike Bobo. It's interesting, though, such a good player there at Georgia, obviously beating the Gators like he did in 1997, I believe it was, and yet there's still a lot of love-hate when it comes to him as the offensive play caller there in Athens. Brent, final question. We talk about Florida State not beginning till next week. We'll certainly dive into the Seminoles more at that time. Quickly to Coral Gables. They're more than a week into spring drills as well. Anything stand out to you about Miami right now?
Yeah, they need to get Reuben Bain going again. The junior defensive lineman is back. And frankly, one of the better defensive linemen, I'll say, in the nation. But he was hurt. You remember, Hank, he got hurt in the Florida game last year. Hamstring, third snap of the game. He was out for 6 weeks until they played Cal. So how he comes back is going to be important. They're trying to find, and they've got a new center, James Brockemeyer, that name is familiar. He was at Alabama and TCU. Now, Carson Beck is at spring practice. I mean, he's very limited, obviously, but he's out there. And, you know, for what good that does, it still gives him some chemistry with his teammates and so forth. So that's going to be interesting, too. But, yeah, the Canes are up and going. They're actually on spring break this week, so hopefully everybody will behave. But yes, they are up and going, and they've got a lot of excitement. I tell you though, Hack, Cam Ward was a really good quarterback. He's a real loss. They've got a lot of holes, and I'm just wondering if this new situation for Carson Beck, when he gets healthy, how much this is really going to work.
And it's a brutal September for Miami, too. They have a really, really tough start to the season. Brent Beard, you see him locally on First Coast News. You get him weekly right here on Hacker After Dark. Mr. Beard, appreciate you as always, pal. We'll do it again next week.
Good. Can't wait, bud. Take care.
Now, the cool down from the cool guys at Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing. Fast, reliable, and honest service since '87.
And thank you to my buddy Brent Beard. You see him locally on First Coast News. You also get him weekly right here on Hacker After Dark. A spring football going on really all over the country, either this week or next week for those that haven't started. But almost everybody is already in to spring drills, including the Gators, the Hurricanes, the Bulldogs. Florida State officially begins at the beginning of next week. So we certainly spent some time on that. And the SEC tournament going on up in Nashville. It's already been pretty good. And look, the Gators finally take the court tomorrow night. You'll hear that game right here on 1010XL. Quarterfinal action as Auburn, Alabama, Tennessee, and Florida will officially get their SEC tournaments underway. Auburn pretty much knows they're a number one seed in the NCAA tournament already. The other three, Alabama, Tennessee, and Florida, conventional thinking is maybe the one that goes the farthest in Nashville will get the last number one seed in the NCAA tournament. So we'll see how that plays out, but it should be interesting to see. Of course, Selection Sunday comes up on Sunday, and the NCAA tournament tips off next Tuesday. 2 games in Dayton on Tuesday, 2 games in Dayton on Wednesday, and then a week from today, you will have the first round, I guess, in unison of the NCAA tournament. So we certainly spent some time on that, but as you can imagine, it was a lot of Jacksonville Jaguar talk, spent a lot of time on the Jaguars, and a lot of time on the first round of the players, as there is a ton going on here in the middle of March on the sports calendar. Well, that will just about do it. It has been a very, very busy Thursday night edition of Hacker After Dark. We certainly appreciate you guys hanging out with us here on 1010XL and on 92.5 FM. We have a ton of people to thank. Again, my buddy Brent Beard. You see him locally on First Coast News, and you get him weekly right here on Hacker After Dark. Thank you to Easton Freeze, A2ZSports.com, covering the AFC South. He's based up in Nashville. We spent some time on the Jaguars, but also spent some time on the offseason so far for the Titans, the Texans, and the Indianapolis Colts. So we certainly thank Easton for joining us tonight. And back in hour number 1, my buddy Cameron Wolf of the NFL Network. Cameron does a terrific job with the NFL Network with a primary focus on the 3 Florida teams, and he's been great this offseason so far when it comes to covering the Jaguars on the NFL Network. So we certainly thank Cameron Wolf for joining us this evening. Now, we will be back tomorrow night on a Friday to close out the week here on Hacker After Dark, and we do hope that you join us then. Casey Dobson was your producer tonight, and for Dylan Denmark, Casey, great job as always. I'm the Hacker Ryan Green, and again, Jacksonville, thank you for spending part of your Thursday evening with us right here on Hacker After Dark on 1010XL and on 92.5 FM. So for all of us here on HAD, have an absolutely terrific remainder of your Thursday evening, and we will talk to you again tomorrow night on a Friday to close out the week beginning at 8 o'clock. Until then, good night, Jacksonville.
Why Smoonez Vision? Well, I've been with Dr. Neil Smoonez now since I got back to Jacksonville in 2006. 37 years of experience he has. Smoonez Vision is a family organization that focuses on personal high-quality medical and surgical eye care. Dr. Catherine Smoonez is fellowship-trained in cornea and cataract surgery and all refractive surgery. Combined, that's 30 years plus in laser eye surgery. Visit SmoonezVision.com today. Here you can see.
Got a cracked windshield? Not only is it dangerous, but did you know it's also illegal? Call Baker Glass. Mack and his crew use the best auto glass in the market, and they accept most insurance. Plus, all new windshields come with a full warranty. From cars, to trucks, to RVs, you can count on Baker Glass to be fast and friendly. Just check out their Google reviews. Come see us at the shop on Cassa Avenue, or we can come to you at